To delve into this summit, let's bring in our global affairs commentator, Doug Hertbert. Doug, as always, happy to have you on a story like this. You know, I mentioned earlier.
You said it all. We know the agenda.
No, we need more from you. The
is.
US is back on that international stage. And this summit, we can say, will be a great opportunity for Biden to send that message.
Yeah, look, let's start with the big picture stuff before we get in. COVID's hardly a detail. I won't call it that, but let's start with big picture. This is the America is Back summit. It's not that Donald Trump, as we know, didn't attend G7 or G20 summits. Yeah, he did. He did so grudgingly. He was always there as the protagonist. He was always there in sort of the villain's role. And he always was there grudgingly. He didn't want to be there. He didn't believe in these multinational institutions. He saw them as endless chattering and talking shops. He didn't really believe in what we might call multilateralism or multinational cooperation. So it wasn't just a G7 summit, G-anything summit, anything with a multi before it's the name, any multinational, multilateral organization, global body, world organization, you name it. If it had a lot of players in it trying to work cooperatively to reach a global consensus, he didn't want to have any part of it. Joe Biden, just by being there, that could be what we talk about right now. The fact that the U.S. is not just back sitting around a table, virtually, as you said, at a G7 summit, but is there in earnest, really wanting and seeing the need for an active America, an America, not necessarily, yes, an America first on some issues. It's not like Biden's going to reverse everything Trump did, especially on China, which we'll talk about, but back knowing the need of not jilting your longstanding allies, knowing the need more than ever, given all of these immense world challenges, to work together. The U.S. can't go it alone, shouldn't go it alone. He campaigned on Build Back Better, and for Joe Biden, building back better involves allies, and allies such as the ones he's going to see at the G7 today.
Absolutely.
Virtually.
Relationship with the allies and a foreign policy shift. But in addition to that, something that you alluded to earlier is, of course, the global pandemic.
Look, why are we doing it virtually? They cannot have a G7 in person yet. Now, Cornwall is actually going to host the next one, and they're hoping to have it actually in person there later in the spring. But for now, they are still virtual encounters. Look, everyone's trying to have a piece of the pie on the sort of being the COVID manager in chief when it comes to this crisis. It's not that they're, cynical. They genuinely do want to be seen as leaders. When I mean, the U.S., Joe Biden putting up there billions and billions of dollars. He wants to help nations, less developed, poor nations, to be able to produce, to be able to buy vaccines, to be able to fend for themselves and their own people. Boris Johnson, at the same time, coming up with his scheme. He wants to promote this readiness, preparedness scheme so that for future pandemics, it will take 100 days to come up with a vaccine. You could say it took 300 days for the COVID one, Sanam. This 100 would be even stepping up those ambitions. And Emmanuel Macron saying famously yesterday to the Financial Times newspaper, he wants about 5% of France's supply to be able to go to poorer countries in Africa and elsewhere.
Doug, we have 30 seconds to talk about the China issue.
The China issue, and I could do it in 20. China issue is, this is an area where Joe Biden is not going to reverse the Trump policies. He's not about to lift the sanctions that Trump imposed. He sees China, and he said this, as perhaps one of the most urgent and most, the biggest competitor to the U.S. right now. And he wants to have a very muscular, aggressive approach towards China. Engage where you can on issues such as climate change, and they have been able to do that in the past, but be very, very aggressive and muscular, and perhaps do it in concert with Europeans if Europeans are willing to go it with the U.S. against China on this, and that's not clear. That is going to be a tall order. China looms large over every G7 or G20 summit. Well, it's at the G20 summits. Let's see what happens today with China, but I don't expect any big reversals from the Trump policies when it comes to China.
Only you can wrap that up in 30 seconds. Thank you so much, Doug Hertbert, for that analysis there.